Righto, welcome to another video. We're going to do our bubble arch on the near side on this one. Hopefully this is going to be a little bit more comprehensive. As you can see, it's quite chilly there. Got the hat on and I can see my breath. I've had the fire going, but it's made little impact. It is properly turned cold now. But I'll soon warm up as soon as I start moving. Hopefully we'll have everything included into one video about fitting a bubble arch and include everything I've learned from doing the other side. So if you want a more in-depth view, watch the series of videos from doing the other side. If you just want a quick once over, then hopefully this will provide that. So I hope you enjoy, and let's crack on and see how we get on. Now, this is just a rough line at the moment because we're not really anywhere near where you're going to be eventually. Let's get that up a little bit closer. With the swage lines, what we're looking to line up here as best we can. There we go. I think I'll be cutting this back as well because the swage line ends sort of there. There's quite a rough finish on this side compared to the other side. So I think I'll probably be cutting this actual arch down as well, around here somewhere, because I see that swage fades out to nothing there also. So I think that'll be taking about 3/4 of an inch off of that, just to tidy that up as well. Means we want to come a good that much down from that side there. Doesn't have to be perfect at this stage because this is just a rough cut to get this out the way and give me access to sorting out the rocks behind here as well. So we'll cut that out first and then see what we've got behind. Okay, so this is what it looks like after it's been attacked with the angry attachment to the grinder. This is only going to be a road car. I have no intention of taking this rallying or bouncing it around the forest and into a tree. This is a road car and I'm putting bubble arches on it because I want a bubble arch car. And that'll be riding sort of about there somewhere. Which again, you know, I got plenty of movement there up into the tubs. I really don't think it's going to be an issue having the tubs where they are. So yeah, probably about there would be my ride height. If I was going to build a rally car and I was going to use it for competition, yeah, I'd understand putting the bigger tubs in. The other reason why I want to keep these original tubs, especially the inner parts of the tub, is I want to put rear seats in the car. I want to make it usable. If I still put massive tubs in there, that's going to make fitting a rear seat difficult. So I've stripped off all the paint around the periphery of the cut out for the tub and cut out and cleaned up the tub. Now you'll see, interestingly, once you clean these out, if this will focus, there we go, you get this step which comes in handy because you can, like on the other side, put the tub into that and drill out these old spot welds and weld the two lots together. And you also got an edge here. Once we ground out and cleaned up the seam sealer that was on there, You can see the edge here now, which we're going to cut back to that nice flange bit there. For this, so the next thing before we can go any further with that, which will be a separate video, is sort out all this rot in there, which I have panels for. Right, now that we got that lower quarter wrapped up, we can continue on with our bubble arch. So from the previous slide, we made this template for the tub. So I'm going to make use of that now. Rather than cutting this out to that shape on the steel, I'll square across from here somewhere and just sit back straight down with the plasma cutter, and then we use a jigsaw to get a nice line off of that. But what I want to do is come off about 10mm off of that, so I can bend a flange on it as well. This is our tub now, or will be. Now this is the tub, this is the paper template we took off the offside tub. And what I want to do now is, because rather than welding a flange on like I did on the other side, I'm going to attempt to cut the flange in sort of about 10mm off. So what I'm going to do is, imagine how far that goes. So run a line 10mm or thereabouts off of that, and cut that off with a jigsaw. Right, tack that with a jigsaw now, and happy to start bending a flange on it. Right, that gives us our flange to go to. Let's get this fixed to the car and then start tipping this flange to suit us. Right, before we put the arch into place, I'm going to drill out these spot welds that are existing on here, so that when we do come to fitting it back, I'll just be welding down through to the original spot welds. But I'm going to use those holes as well to put tech screws in place to hold the arch in while we work on it. So let's crack on with that first. Okay, so that's our plug welds drilled out ready. I think I'll do next is cut this rot out here so it's not getting in the way, and similar down here. I think I'll just cut this rot out first as last, so I'm not fighting with it when there's a tub in place. Right, let's crack on with this tub then. Right, I've got as many tech screws in there as I possibly can. Clean that edge off there, just a little bit ropey. Okay, so simply using this, I'm going to tip a flange on this. Now I could do it in the bead roller, but the bead roller will put a lot of distortion into it. This will be a bit more gentle. It is a case of just going gently. Clamp on this corner here first, I think. And just line the jaws up to the edge of to your mark and tip away just a little bit at a time. This will take 4 to 5 trips around, this will. And patience is the key with this. You'll see it's starting to pucker up there. Don't worry, we can deal with that. Right, that's one pass. Now this would be easier if we were tucking it up, because it's easier to just stretch into a flange and it is a shrink. But there is a reason why I'm doing it down like this. It's going to be easier to get the seam sealer on there and use clamps to hold it in place once the bubble is on. So there's method in my madness, which I learned from the other side. Okay, pass 3. Okie dokie, so we've got the flange tipped over mostly, but you can see there's lots of pucks in that which need the thing to focus, lots of pucks in that which need attention. So we will get a hammer and dolly on those now, and you'll see what we do to sort that out. Alright, let's see if we can get hammer and dolly on these so you can see what I'm doing. So that puck is now pretty much shrunk away. So let's go on to the next one. So these are quite severe pucks, these are. But the hammer and dolly, you can get the metal to shrink back into itself. Now, I'm not very good at this sort of stuff, but this is working fine. Certainly good enough for what we need to do here. And it's not taken forever either. You know, this is only taken, well, probably half an hour so far to do what we're doing. Now, this puck is quite the heavy one, so we'll see how that transpires now. Get to it. And the hammer blows aren't hard; they're just fairly light hammer blows. So it's not like you're having to smack it to get it to work. Yeah, it's not a perfect radius on it, but it doesn't really have to be. It's not a facing panel, but I do want a nice flange on it. I've put a couple of extra tucks in there on purpose because I think that one's going to end up splitting on itself or folding over on itself, so hopefully we take some of the shrink with the other side, either side of it. Right, so it's not the most attractive finish on it. It's a bit bumpy and wavy, you know. I'm sure if I worked harder on it I could get that to more an accurate curve, but I'm not worried about that. All I want is the flange. All that would be out of sight anyway. So the flange is on there, all the tucks and pucks have been squeezed out of it. Let's get the bubble arch on there and see how we're doing. Yes, that's looking quite promising, that is. Right, all around here needs to tuck in quite a lot. So we'll get another stretch on that. Mark where that needs to go as it happens. But what it's doing is coming in around the back of this part of the lip here quite tightly, so I think that's going to have to run at the same angle as this lip is. Which is starting from about there all the way down. So now what we're going to be doing is actually stretching it now, so this will be a bit easier. Right, the only bit that needs any fettling really is over here. This needs to be tipped down a bit further in. So we can get the dolly on this now and just turn it in sooner a tad. Super, right, happy with the fit of that. So I'll do now, take it off, give it a clean up and a coat of primer, and then come back to it when that's all dry, ready to go. While I'm waiting for the inner tub to set off, I've tech screwed this into place, so I've got a constant reference of it going backwards and forwards, because I was messing about with it just hanging around on my hands, so it's a bit more secure this way. We've got the tub now is painted with weld through. We're really struggling to get the paint out the tins at the moment. Halford's paint is a real shame because they must have a bad batch, and every tin by now is rubbish. I've even tried different stores and it's the same issue. I'm going to have to get a different type of weld through primer, I think. I've tried the copper one, but the copper one doesn't have such good rust prevention properties. Bit of a pity that, but hey ho. Problem is, because Halford only stock the stuff at 2 tins at a time, it's going to take forever to get rid of the bad batch. Yeah, right, okay, rant over. Right, so if I've done my work correctly, this should go back on there fairly easily. Right, so we've got a nice fit in around here now. This is good news. What I'm going to do is get a hammer and just give these a slight tapping to make sure they're definitely up against the tub, the bubble rather, but they're pretty close. I am now comfortable enough with the fit of this to the tub behind. I've sort of tapped the flanges up towards the bubble where they're not quite touching, but they're touching close enough in all areas all the way around now. So it's time to take this back off, plug weld the tub in position, and then get the tiger seal. Hopefully it still hasn't all gone off in the tub. Put tiger seal on it and put this back in place, and then we're ready for the cut and butt. But what I'll probably do first is get it back in place, let tiger seal go off overnight before I consider attaching the tub permanently. Right. Alright, let's get this welded into position. Righto, that's that all plug welded into place, so that tub now is part of the car. So let's get a wire brush on those, give those a coat of primer just to clean them off and keep the rust at bay hopefully, and then we'll play with the tiger seal. Some of you folks who've used this stuff before did say that this will go off no matter what you try to do to stop it, and you're right. It's still soft in there, so what I'm going to try and do is drill into it, see if I can rescue it. Lovely. Right, find a new nozzle for that. Where there's a will. Right, I think I'll pump a bit of this out first, get the gooey stuff off, and then work with the better stuff. Lovely. Right, there's big black poob there now. Let's crack on. Lovely. Right, squish her, tap up against it. There you go, that's squished out of there wonderfully. Happy days. Right, I'll leave that set off for a bit of time and then we'll play with it again tomorrow. Right, I wonder if that'll be any more successful. Tape the end up with some electrician's tape. It's worth a try. Here we go again. So this is nicely stuck onto our inner tub now, or outer tub. So ready to do our cut and butt to get the arch fitted into place. Once that's fitted in place, we can start finishing off these, closing off these panels here to the sills, front and back. So let's crack on with getting this into place. First thing I'm curious about is if I take all my tech screws out of this now, whether I've still got a bit of shuffle on this or whether it is where it is. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's staying pretty tight where it was, so that's, I'll take that as a promising sign as it happens. Okay, the stick goes back in. Lovely. Right, we've got our measurement 16 3/4 to from our door, the side of the door jamb there, along our crease there to the beginnings of our arch tugging in. Between there and there is 16 3/4 inches, or 425 millimeters in modern language. Okay, stop prevaricating about the bush, Dave, and get on with it. Here we have the tub, or the bubble, cut and butt into place now. So a simple process of laying it on top, getting a grinder in at an angle, and the panels will sort of drop together, then just tack them in place. So I've left this untacked here. I've not been as accurate with my swage line here as I should have been. So there's a bit of work involved with bringing that swage line down a bit. But that's not the end of the world, we can do something with that. But what is important is it's all nice and flush with the car. And this has gone on nicer than the other side, probably because of doing one already first has helped. But there was no accident damage on this side either, so this has gone on nice and straight here. You can see it's held the shape of the car very, very nicely. So that's good news. So the next step is to grind all these flat and clean up an area either side, and then do dab 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 grind, dab 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 grind welding, and see how we get on with that. I can work with it, that's for sure. It's sunk in a little bit there, but I managed to knock that out and it's come pretty good there now, so happy days. It's definitely workable like that. That was a weldathon. So there we go, that's that all welded in. I have to come up with a name for this welding method. Dab, dab and grind or something like that. But that's worked a treat. Very little distortion, obviously got some, but very little. See where it's sunk in a little bit there, but it is tiny. Just as soon as I'm grinding, I'm not grinding it. Some places where it's been, there we are. That's where it's just, because of the lip there, the distortion is very minor, so I managed to get a nice grind, super flat finish on that. But as we come around here, of course, it sinks in a little bit. There's a big flat panel, but it is tiny, tiny. I could continue grinding that so it looks like that, but this will end up wafer thin here, so it's not about what it looks like, it's about how strong it is. So with a thin skimmer filler, that is going to look dandy. You can look down the panel, that has kept its shape beautifully, so very happy with how that's come out. Right, here we go. So that's the arch fitted and cleaned off and a bit of paint on it. So we've got this area here to finish off, and likewise a hole there to close up and to finish off across the bottom here. So I'll start with the easy one, this one, and then work on to that one. I've cut this back too far on the bottom, so I'll dig that out the scrap pile now and recover that bit and sort that out as well. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is weld this up along here. Now this tack there, I need to cut out and redo. It's bulging out a little bit there, so if you come across this yourself, don't go with it. Cut it out and sort it out now, because it'll be a pain in the future otherwise. Alright, that's that bit welded up and chuck a bit of paint on it, ready to move on to the next bit. Let's have a look at this bit now. Let's sort out a cardboard template for that and finish that bit off. Aye, beer box template, here we come. Probably the best cardboard in the world. Right, let's see if I can do this without getting in the way of you lot. Alright, see if I can roughly scribe this in down here. Yeah, that'll do us. I've got a couple of marks on there to remind me to add a little bit. I'll find what I've done with a pen. Sharpie will do. Pen's run away already. And a flange. This way. Okie dokie, let's go do something with that. Right, there we go, transfer that across onto the metal below, and I'll cut that out with a jigsaw and tip a flange over using my spanner method. Right, the piece cut and ready to go into there. That'll fit in there nicely. I'm going to clean that up and etch prime that, or weld through prime that. I'm also going to weld up these plug holes here and put extra plugs in here, because I've done that a bit back to front there. Got some new tins of weld through primer. These seem to be flowing nice, so hopefully the bad batch is done. Right, that's all primed up and ready to go. So let's stick that into the car. Right, first thing I want to do is get some goop on there. Right, let's get that under there. And goop that into there. That's that welded in. I'm quite sure what happened here. One of it peaked on with the welding, but I'm going to soon tidy that up. That's come across okay up there, and buttoned off this corner as well to tie that up. So I just grind that off now, tidy that up, and move on to the next bit. Off and tidied up. So still unsure about what I'm going to do about this idea. Somebody suggested putting a rod across there, but I'm starting to lean towards perhaps a little fillet in there to close it off, sort of along there. And if it's sort of sloped down, as it would be because the sill is sloped down anyway, the water will run off it. So I may incorporate that into this piece here and see how it goes. But yeah, still unsure about that because I don't want all the gunk landing on it. But if it can run off, then maybe it'll work. Right, I found the piece I cut off from there, which I cut off too much, and cut it off what was the rest of the little bit of panel. So this now will go into here, like so. So that looks like it needs to tap back down that way. Let's check that with a straight edge. Yes. Okay, so let's do that first. There we go. Alright, what do I do first is the question. Before I fiddle around with that, maybe what I should do is do the repair on this section first. Straight down to there somewhere, just for that piece, and then better idea where we're going. Right, let's do that first. Right, that's my piece we need. Let's see about making a metal version. I'll just put that on a bit of steel now and chop that out with the jigsaw. Then we'll bring it over and start putting some shape into it. Alright, so that's our piece. So we want to get a roll in it. Up there somewheres. And see how we get on. I'll do that in my little pipe roller on the bench now. Alright, just put a bit of a roll in it. Quite easy enough. So let's see how we're looking. Oh, that's come into shape nicely. We can do something with that. Yes, very nice. Now this does need a swage on it down there, so I'll go and bang that out in the vise now and come back. Right, something like that. Just bumped in the vise like I did the other side. Yeah, something like that. Will do us nicely. Right, I'm going to start welding this into place, I think, and bump shape into it as we go. Yes, time to start welding. Bit tidied up, ready to move on to boxing off this bit. So plan is to just tie that piece in there somewhere and perhaps trim it off afterwards once I've got the where I got an idea where I want to go with it. Probably the best bet. Yeah, I think if I tie that in now, then I'll cut it afterwards to suit. I might even be able to bring this piece around. No, okay. Let's get it in place first and see what happens. All welded in on there and joined up. So we've just got to decide what we're going to do with this bit in here next. Next thing you want to do is box this off here now. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is mark up where to cut this off. So we're looking, starting from there to here somewhere. Right, just template up that bit. Well, that looks good. And add a flange under there. That'll block that off nicely. Righto, transfer that onto the offcut. That's a bit of the offcut of the bubble arch, that is. So we'll use it. cut that out with the jigsaw now and tip that flange over, and then it'll be ready to weld in. Yeah, that's close enough now. We can start working with that. Bang it in place. That bit closed in there. Now you notice I haven't put any seam sealer on that, or tiger seal. That's because the last of it was out the tube and I couldn't get this gone off. So I'll just make sure I give that plenty of seam sealer from the inside when I do the final seam sealing, and an extra bead around this side as well to make sure that is sealed off. But that's closed off nicely, so I'm going to get the grinder on that now, clean that up, and give it a coat of paint. Right, that's given that a coat of zinc paint to hold the corrosion at bay, hopefully. All these finishes here, a lot of this will be hidden, because when I finally do come to finishing off the underside, it'll be using like a Gravitex type finish on that, so a lot of that will just disappear into that. So the next thing to look at is doing something about this here. I'm still don't like the way this is, so I've decided I'm gonna make a piece to go in there, and hopefully, because there is a slant on that, the worst of the gunk will fall off it. It'll get washed off it as we're going along. Right, hopefully we're focusing on the right thing there. It's hard to see what the camera's doing from the angle that I'm looking at it. So I think I'm simply going to stick a bit of metal into there somehow, and then tidy it up after the event. Let's poke a corner off of that. Yeah, something like that, and then I'll grind a nice edge to it, to where it's going to come. Okay, I don't overthink this, just want to get on with it. That's that strengthened off there, so I think that'll suit us because there's a bit of a tip on that. So any gunk that falls on that hopefully will run off. I think it's a bit of a compromise there. Let's get some light on this. I think there's a bit of a compromise there. Wasn't overly keen on this idea, but I think this will be too weak without it. That's going to get prone to getting knocked about. So that's that. Finished, boxed off there, and finished and boxed off all around that area there too. So there we have it. One complete bubble arch from start to finish. There's been a couple of interim videos with repairing the inner and outer tub there, lower quart I should say, then repairs to the inner tub in there which needed doing. So have a look at the previous videos for those, see how we did those. Nicely distortion free, or mostly distortion free welding as well, so that's going to need a very minor skim of filler to get that correct. Righto, thanks again for watching. As you can see, it's still chilly, but it's not that bad. I quite like working in the cold. You can work in the cold, but as in when it's roasting hot in the summer, you're just sweating constantly. The only downside to working in the cold is the constant condensation on everything that you're touching and going near. So, but hey ho, that is what it is. But there we go, all done. Bubble arch done nicely. A couple of interim videos for the other bits that were done, but that's come nicely. So hopefully this will be a nice comprehensive video of how to fit a bubble arch, or maybe not the how to fit, how I fitted a bubble arch to my car and it's worked. So it's come out reasonably distortion free. Quite happy with the result. So thanks for watching. Thanks for being a subscriber as usual, and we'll crack on with the next bit. I don't know what we're going to do next actually, but it's we're starting to get to the end of the welding on this, which is nice. We've still got a bit of work to do with the dashboard and the left-hand drive to right-hand drive conversion. We've got the engine, we've got the sump to build for the engine yet, so that's going to be an interesting one. Engine to gearbox flange, I've got an MX5 gearbox kicking about here, early 5-speed MX5 gearbox, so I might use that since I've got it, and see how we get on. But yeah, plenty left to do, but the fabrication slowly but surely coming to an end on this, so that's good news.